Well, according to the spinning wheel on my screen, we are live. Welcome to ErinCon 3 Day 2. Thanks for joining me. I hope none of you are suffering from ErinCon 3 Day 1 fatigue. It was a 3-hour show. I didn't expect to go that long. Hopefully, I won't drag it out that long today, but no promises. We have stuff to draw. We also have stuff to sell. So I'm going to take a look at the table that I've set up. If you were with me yesterday, this is going to be basically like a virtual con experience, so that if you were to show and you came by my table, you're going to see pretty much what I would have out on my table. Maybe not as well organized as I might have it on my table at a show, but we'll go through everything. It's all within reach, so we can get a good look at everything. And then we're going to jump from the table, what I'm offering for sale, and go in and do some sketching after that. Everything except the original art is free shipping this weekend. So if you want a sketchbook, you want some comics, you want a print or prints, this would be the best time to get multiples of anything, because again, free shipping this weekend only. I can't make it any easier for you. Let's see, has anybody joined us yet? Well, nobody has. So I'm talking to myself, but that's okay. Because I often talk to myself, and I assume that at some point people might jump in and check this video out later if they're not here yet. So that's about all the stalling I can do. So let's just move over to the table and take a look at my goods and wares that I have available this weekend, or today, which is the last day of the weekend. Quick zoom around my studio. You can see all the garbage there. There's one of my con banners, the one I use the most. And then welcome to the con table of goodness. Now, today, I actually have stuff on here that I didn't have yesterday. Warren Montgomery has joined me. So at least one person's here. I see I've got 8 people watching. So, hey, that's good enough. That's a party. Okay, let me explain what I've got going on here. Let me move this over just a little bit. Okay. First of all, those books right there, the top one is Raw Imagination, 20 Years of Sketches. That's my hardcover, 64 pages, full color. I offer those for $25 a piece. This weekend only, free shipping. Or if you'd like a head sketch inside one, and I'm going to do, I think, 2 of those today, you can get one of those with a head sketch in it for $45. Regardless, they come signed, numbered, because they are a limited edition book. So those are either $25 without the sketch, $45 with the sketch. This weekend, no shipping. Let me pump up, excuse me, my little sketchbook banner there. Let's see, I'll take a quick look over at the screen, and Johnny Fitz has rejoined us. You're enjoying this, aren't you? As best I can, Johnny. 3G, now I'm here, man, ready for round 2. Okay, awesome. Paul P is here. I assume that's Paul that's waiting for the Hulk Gladiator commission, so we'll take a look at that. And John Smith has joined me, awesome, from sunny Southern California. He was probably out late last night rioting, but came home, got some sleep, and now he's ready to rock and roll. The other book I have back here, excuse me, is Fantastical Creatures Field Guide, How to Hunt Them Down and Draw Them Where They Live. This was actually the first real book I ever did. This is, I don't know, at least 10 years ago, maybe longer. But I wrote it, I illustrated it. It's got all kinds of weird creatures, and they're all watercolor paintings mixed with pencil drawings. And so if you're into a little humor with some weird creatures, which are my specialty generally speaking, that's for you. And that's only $10, and that's signed. I've only got a couple of those, but I sold one yesterday, so I have one less than I had yesterday, but I think I still have like 2 or 3 more. All right, let's take a look at the comics I've got. Let's tip this down. I've got things kind of spread out. Let's do the comics first, and then we'll go over the trade paperbacks because I do have new trades out that I didn't have yesterday. Oh, and I have this new one, this new comic out here that I didn't. Well, it's not new, but it's new to the table. I did a cover, if you remember, Dark Knight 3, the Masterrace. I think DC did like 100 covers, right? Well, I did one of them. Now there's two versions. There's the full color one, which I colored myself, and then there's this black and white dealer incentive one. I've got like several of these, like 5 or 6 of these. So they're very limited, and those are $5 a piece. I've got the, for those of you who were with us yesterday, you'll be bored, but those who weren't, so you won't be. Got Wonder Woman Giant, 100-page Giant. These were the Walmart books. Let me tilt that up just a little bit. There we go. So I have issue 1 that has a Frank Cho cover. Issue 2 and issue 3, I have multiple copies of these available. I actually didn't do any Wonder Woman stories in here. I actually did an Amethyst story. So the Amethyst story I did is being reprinted in there. But those are available. And way back here, I've got Justice League 41, 2 versions. I'm just going to have to get up here a little bit, stand so I can maneuver this a little bit better. If you're commenting at me right now, I will get to those in a minute. So I have 41, Brian Hitch cover, alternate cover by somebody. And so both of those are available for 41, and I did do the interiors on these. Then I've got an interesting combination of issue number 42. This is the Brian Hitch regular cover. This is the silver dealer incentive cover. It's in a bag, so it must be worth something. And then the white cover, which was also, I guess that's the regular alternate cover. Then the silver one was like dealer incentive cover. I don't know. But these are $5 a piece. And all the regular comics are, what did I say they were last night? $2.50, right? So I'm pretty sure that's what I sold them for yesterday. If I'm wrong, you know, they're $2.50 today. Okay. What else do I got? I've got, oops, sorry, bang, bang, bang. Infinite Crisis Dark Multiverse. Okay. This is the one I did. This is a prestige format book, so it regularly retails for like $6. I've got Aquaman 56, 2 versions. That alternate cover, and then this regular cover. 100-page Giant Swamp Thing number 7. I did 6 and 7. I don't have any 6s left for some reason, but I do have 7s. Then we go up here and we've got Aquaman 100-page Giant, which I did a original story in that. Okay. And I also have Sledge number 1, silver foil cover edition. These are limited to 5,000 copies. I won't tell the story because I did yesterday, but I've got several of these available too. And then I've got Archie comics that I did the covers for only. Archie 10th Anniversary, The Married Life, Archie 1941, and then Archie 1955, where Archie looks like Elvis. And anyway, so those are the comics I have available. And here's the deal on the comics. Every one of these is $2.50, except Sludge number 1 silver is $5, but I have a regular Sludge number 1 available too that would be just $2.50. The Dark Knight 3s are $5. And these 2 Justice League special covers from number 42 are $5. The other ones are $2.50 a piece. I have a pretty decent amount of all these. So I sold a few yesterday, but those are available and they all come signed. Okay, the catch on the comics is you have to order at least $10 worth to get free shipping. So if you're thinking about getting some comics, you'd have to order like 4 at $2.50 or a couple of the $5 ones to get to that $10. So that's kind of where that's at. All right, now let's take a look at the trade paperbacks I also have. Now these are new from yesterday. Hey, Michael Steenbergen joining us from Bedrock City in Houston, Texas. He tunes in just in time for me. Pimping the Walmart books. Well, the art's coming in just a minute. Okay, I do have one of these left. This is a trade paperback of my run on Justice League International. I have one copy. That's all I've got. Metamorpho, I have a bunch of these. As I wrote and penciled this miniseries. Sword of Sorcery. All 7 issues are crammed into this that I drew. And then, of course, a trade paperback for Future Quest Presents. There's some really, if you haven't checked this out, there's some really good stuff in here. There's like a Steve Rude. I want to make sure this is right. Yeah. There's a Steve Rude Birdman story in there. There's a Space Ghost story. There's me doing Future. Actually, this is volume 2. I take that back. I don't think Rude's Birdman's in here. I better quit lying to people. What is in here? Well, the Galaxy Trio. Steve Lieber did a My Tor story. Oops, me if I got that in front of the camera. And then there's Ron Randall did the Galaxy Trio. Then there's my Future Quest story in there with the Herculoids. So that's what's in here. It looks like some pinups and stuff. And then a Frankenstein Jr. at the end. But anyway, I have a bunch of those. That's volume 2. And I have all those. The trade paperbacks are basically 60% off. Okay, so I don't know, each one is, for example, this is $17 normally. So whatever 60% off $17 would be is, you know, like $7 or something like that, probably. Let's meander over here. Now, this is kind of interesting. I've got Star Trek. I got a bunch of these. But the interesting thing about this is I did a story in here, but I did an oil painting for the cover, and it kind of got rejected because I think Chiarello didn't think it was good enough, which is fine. But they did post it in here on the inside. So there's my oil painting of Kirk and Spock and the villain, and you can see the Enterprise and everything. So, I mean, it's not bad. You know, I hadn't done a lot of oil painting at that time. I was sort of experimenting still at that stage, but they decided they would get Stelfreeze to do this instead, which is fine. I mean, Stelfreeze is, you know, pretty good. Anyway, so then I've got the Excalibur. I've only got one of these. That's volume 2, part from my run on Excalibur at Marvel. I've got Death of Hawkman. I have a bunch of these. I've got my Damage collection, trade paperback. Got a bunch of these. I only have one of these left. This is the Gothtopia Batman Detective Comics hardcover. I got a couple issues in here, I think, or one. I don't remember. Anyway, but this, you can get one of this. This is 60% off. So if that was, what was it? $25. So that's what, 12, probably about $10. What a deal. And then I've got one of these Convergence hardcovers. Okay. And those are normally $30. So that'd be about, what, 12, $13, something like that. Anyway, and I've only got one of those. Most of these I have multiples of, but the couple of ones I pointed out I only have one of. So if you want one of those, and these all come signed, that's part of the deal. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the prints I have available, and then we'll get to the artistic part of the show. If I can figure out how to work my, I got to come up a little bit with my rather unsophisticated tripod. Okay, this is my newest print that I have. This is my Captain America print that has his Rogues Gallery on it. It's called Captain's Quarry, because I didn't want to put Captain America on there and be obviously a copyright infringement, even though Marvel knows we're doing this and it's totally legal in that sense, but still. Anyway, so there's a Captain America print that's available. There's 100 copies. That's it, signed and numbered. Those are 15 apiece. Coral Princess. Some people say it's the Little Mermaid. It wasn't intended to be, but she's colored exactly like the Little Mermaid, so I guess that's the adult Little Mermaid. My least successful print of all time, Little Leaguers, but maybe the cutest print of all time. My Jaws print. If you're a fan of the movie, and who isn't, that might be something you want to get your hands on. Rosie the Riveteer, always popular since the 40s till today. Girl Power, one of my probably my all-time best-selling print of Wonder Woman besting Superman. Warrior in Repose, nice little pastel-y, intimate viewing of Wonder Woman. Perhaps it's like she's posing in her battle armor for like, you know, they're taking photos of everybody for the yearbook on the island, and she's, you know. This is a very hot print right now. This is the Warrior Nouveau. In fact, I sold out of the limited edition of these, but I do have, this is now the open edition, so it's unlimited supply. So if you want one of those, we can get one of those, and those come signed. All these come signed, by the way. Wet Grass, this is an old classic with kind of a Wrightson-y Swamp Thing monster in there. I've got a few Kit Carters. These are oldies but goodies. Kit Carter versus the Astro Zombies. The very first, what would we say, Kit Carter prototype called Space Hunt print I did before I actually had named her Kit Carter and kind of redesigned her outfit, simplified it a little bit. Then we have Kit Carter versus the Molten Menace. Good times. I also have this. I didn't show this yesterday, but I have shown it before, of course. This is the Kit Carter Galactic. Well, let me try that again. This is the Kit Carter story print. And this is actually the first episode. It's like a Sunday newspaper strip of Kit Carter. When you buy this for $15, it comes signed and numbered, limited to 250. You also get access to 5 more additional color Kit Carter strips that nobody else sees. So if you don't get this print, you can't see the next 5. And I'm also putting up black and white versions of starting with episode 7, which is up on my website blog right now for free viewing. But if you want to see the first 6 episodes in full color, you have to get this print to do it. Then I have the Star Wars Princesses print. Comes on a nice watercolor type paper, so it feels more like expensive art. San Diego, 1946, with Lana Turner as Supergirl. And then The Amazing Spider-Man, but we just call it Amazing. This was inked by John Levisay, colored by me, of course. So anyway, those are the prints that I have available this weekend. Again, these are $15 a piece, free shipping. So you can just send me $15. You don't have to worry about the shipping. I'll worry about the shipping and send it to you. These all come signed, and the limited edition ones are also numbered. So quite the deal. Give you a quick look. I'm not going to go over my original artwork today. If you're interested in seeing some of the original art, you can check out yesterday's video, day 1 of this, because I don't want to, we got a lot of drawing to do today, and I don't want to spend any more time hawking stuff, because that's not really my shtick. But I do, you know, it is a virtual con, so I have to have stuff available for you if you feel the need to spend some money my way. All right. So that's what I've got. Again, let's go over this real quickly. Prints, $15 a piece, no shipping. Comic books and trade paperbacks. The comics are $2.50, except for the ones I pointed out that are $5 a piece. The trade paperbacks, 60% off, free shipping, but you have to spend at least $10 in this area of the table. Then, of course, we have sketchbooks over there. Those are $25 without a sketch in them. $45 with a sketch, free shipping. Fantastic Creatures Field Guide, only got a couple of those left, $10 a piece, signed. So everything's on sale. Good times to be had by all. So certainly check those out. If if I can get my camera adjusted here, the thing on the on paying for these, if you're so inclined, is you can just, for the prints and the books, if you just want one, you just PayPal me at aaron@aaronlopresti.com, which that address is scrolling across the bottom right now of the screen. That will, and if you put in the message in the PayPal payment why you're sending me money, so I know what you ordered, and make sure I have your address. Somebody already sent me a payment without an address. I can't send it to you if I don't know where to send it to. So anyway, I'm going to read the messages here and see who's here and what they've got to say to me. I'll put that up there. So there's my website, my email, and my PayPal address is scrolling across the bottom right now. All right, let's see who's here. Okay, Michael. Yeah, okay, we already acknowledged you, Michael. TC Shen. Hey, Aaron, can't wait to see that finished Hulk from last night. I can't either because it's still not done, but it's inked. So at least because I redrew it again. We'll get to that in a minute. Warren confirms the comics are $250. Thank you. Generally, I love the New Age of Heroes. Damage and Sideways were badass. Thank you, 3G. Bill Meacham is here. Hey, Bill, thanks for dropping by. And George Melcher. Hello, George. Thank you for coming by. All right. So let's get to the stuff that everybody really wants to see, right? The artwork. Okay, so here's what I did yesterday. First sketch I did, let me get this camera over here where it can actually do some good. To somehow help mankind with my camera placement. All right, there it is, Forbish Man. That was my first request yesterday. A complete blast from the past. Actually, I'm going to drop this big banner now since everybody knows that this is actually Aaron Kahn now. And I will go to the smaller Aaron Lopresti so we can see the artwork better. Because I know Warren Montgomery's like going, Aaron, make the sign smaller. Because I never do and you can't see anything. Okay, so anyway, Michael says, I feel special. Michael, you should feel special. And can I plug Bedrock City again? You guys, one of the best, if not the best, comic shop in the country, in Houston, Texas. And they do have a website, so you can order online and things like that. They always have a nice selection of new books along with old books if you're a serious collector like me. Anyway, what I always do on these con sketches is they're all gray marker, but if you have red in the costume, like Superman's cape, well, I don't know. I'd probably do Superman. Well, yeah, actually, I guess I would. If I did Superman, his cape is red and his emblem in his chest is red. So that would get red and everything else would be gray. Forbish Man happens to have a red pair of long johns as his superhero outfit. So he got to be red. So it feels like a color sketch, even though it really isn't. So anyway, that was the one I actually finished from yesterday. I still didn't finish that Justice League splash page I was supposed to finish yesterday. It's like the last page of issue number 50. So I finished it this morning, which kind of kept me from getting too far on some of these. But anyway, here's the Hulk. Now I redrew this. This is the third time. That just goes to show you the dedication I have to quality. This one I think really turned out much better than the other two. But I still have to do the gray marker on it. But you can see right there, it's you can pretty good look at where it's going. I'll post this once I get it markered up. I will post this on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those good places so you guys can see a finished product for this. And in fact, since I'm only doing one more today, I may, if I have any left tomorrow, I may live stream those. So you may keep your eyes open to see if I just kind of pop up tomorrow. And Johnny Fitz says, that looks awesome. So I'm going to give him a shout out and say thank you. Tishi's, well, see now, see, he agrees and says, yeah, that's awesome. So there you go. I got to get, oh, wait a minute. Paul said, and Paul, this is actually who's getting the Hulk right here. And Paul says, Hulk looks amazing. Thank you, Paul. I'm glad you like it. It'll look better once I get it all toned. But right now, I think it's pretty strong, so I'm happy with it. And considering I had to go through 3 sketches to actually get to something I was happy with. All right. I'm going to take a drink of water. You didn't need to hear that, but you got to hear it anyway. All right, so I have 2 sketchbooks to do. I'm going to do those first because those are kind of like my little warm-ups. So we'll get into the Secret Bat book and see who gets what today. We're going to be doing book number 162. No, that was Scarlet Witch yesterday. 163, we have Ike. He wants a Ms. Marvel. So I think that's what I'll do. So we'll do Ms. Marvel. I know there's another one in here. Why didn't I write it down? I'm gonna have to go check my list. Somebody came in late yesterday with a sketch request. Who was it? Maybe I'm dreaming. Maybe I'm just high. Ike got the sketchbook. Oh, Steve Branson ordered a sketchbook too, but I have to go look to see what he wanted in it. I can't remember. But anyway, so we'll do Ms. Marvel, since I do have that written down, and that's going to be book number 163. So let's not forget that. All right, so there it is, folks. And I think Ike, I'm doing your sketch, and Ike says, I do like this Hulk better. Well, thank you, Ike. I mean, it shows that you and I share the same taste, apparently. Okay. So we're doing Ms. Marvel. Oh, it cracked open because it's never been opened. I know I do this all the time, but oh, the smell of the new print job. Oh, I love it. Love it. Okay. I'm going to dump this pad because it's sort of in my way right now. I've got to maneuver around the camera and get back in here. I wonder if just give me a second here as I futz around with this camera. It's a real professional, there we go. That I think is better. At least I'm going to pretend it's better. Okay. Pull back. Turn this way. Do this. Warren Montgomery, and I'm sure you tossed out the rejected Hulk drawings. Pretty much, yeah, I did. What was it Simonson was telling me one time he was over at Wrightson's studio, and he had a bunch of just, scrap drawings thrown all over the floor that he rejected. And he said he was so tempted. He wanted to go pick them up and take them home with him. But can you imagine, like, going into Bernie Wrightson's studio and just seeing all these discarded drawings on the floor and go, you know what, I'll take these for you. Let me go recycle these for you, and just kind of taking them home. Well, Johnny, whenever you're ready to order that book, just send me a message on either Facebook or Twitter, and we'll get you hooked up because I have plenty still. So, okay, what did I say? Ms. Marvel. That's what I said. Again, I'm going in here with the light photo blue. I'm sorry, that's a lie. I'm going in here with a light blue, not a non-photo blue. It's light blue. It's more of like an animation type. And the Kohl Erase pencils, again, this is, I've said this before, but I'll say it again for any new visitors. I like these better than the non-photo blue simply because the Kohl Erase, they erase, as long as you don't press too hard. And the non-photo blues tend to be too waxy for me, and you really have to press, you have to end up having to press too hard just to get a decent line that you can see, and then you can't erase it because you just, it's so waxy. And so that's why I go with the light blue. What I'm going to do is just basically knock in her face kind of loosely. Then I'll go back over it with pencil a little heavier, and then, of course, clean it up in the inks. Let's see. What does it say? Johnny says, I tried. I can't DM you on Twitter unless you're following me, but it's deactivated at the moment. So I'll order it probably next week at Aaron Lopresti. Yeah, you can also, like I say, you can just, if you're ready to order it, you can just go to PayPal and PayPal me the $45. But make sure you say, hey, this is for a sketchbook and I want to sketch in it. Or if you don't want to sketch in it, it's $25. But just make sure I know in the message box in PayPal why you sent me the money. And if you do want to sketch in it, let me know what you want the sketch of and make sure I have your mailing address in there. So you don't really have to message me or anything. You can just PayPal it directly because I check those, and that's it. Actually, it's easier for me if people PayPal, if they order that way, and I don't have all these extra emails attached to it, it's easy for me just to go into PayPal and look at who's paid and what they want, and then I can just fulfill the orders based on that. So it's actually less complicated for me to do it that way. But you do it however you're comfortable with. And I'm sorry I'm not following you. That's nothing personal. That's just laziness on my part. I just don't even really, I don't even know who I'm following half the time and who I'm not, and if I followed somebody or haven't followed them. So I don't know if Michael Steenbergen is still here. Is it Bergen or Bergen? From Bedrock City, but they did something that was really cool over this whole quarantine. I know their store is open now, at least to a limited degree, although they're in Texas, so they're probably farther along than some people. But they were having these online, which I just thought was genius. They had like 10 different racks set up on this table, and they would put different comics they had for sale. A lot of them were back issues or things like that, and they would have a price on them. And if you were watching on the live stream, you would type in, "Hey, I want that, Avengers number 57," and then if you were the first one to call it out, then they would mark you down and say, "Okay, you get the Avengers 57." And it was actually kind of enjoyable. I liked watching it. Nothing came up that I wanted to get. Although they did have you guys put up a Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1 from 1968. Now I have a copy of that, but I'd like to get a near mint copy of it, and I don't think theirs was near mint, so that's why I didn't jump on it. But I thought that was a really clever way to keep business rolling in during the shutdown. Okay, so we got Carol Danvers rocking and rolling here. What size is the Captain America print? Anthony, all the prints are 11 by 17, all of them. So, if you're thinking wall space or if you're thinking framing, you can get really cheap frames for those at like Michael's or other art supply stores, because 11 by 17 is a really standard size. And it's as big as my scanner goes a little bit bigger than that. I can probably squeeze a 12 by 18 on my scanner. But so I try to keep everything that I know I'm going to be scanning at 11 by 17 or smaller. Actually, I probably should show the original art from that as well. I remember what I did with it. Maybe I'll do that. Not right this second, but in the future. Okay, so we got to go. I made this comment last time I did one of these drawings of Ms. Marvel, was that a lot of guys draw her mask with these enormous eye holes. And it was kind of like, there's so little mask there. It's like not really, I don't think, fooling anybody. So I'm kind of like, I'm not sure that her mask is doing much for her. So I try to make those eye holes at least a little bit smaller, so it kind of feels like she is wearing a mask. It might actually hide her identity. I'm going to pause here briefly while I switch banners again. Let's see. I'll put that up for the prints. You've got to do promotion, right? That's the thing about being a self-publisher. And I am that. Generally, books and prints and stuff like that, I'm obviously self-publishing. You've got to spend so much time marketing. And I don't mind that, but if that was all I was doing, but when you're trying to be artist, writer, colorist, promoter, distributor, there's a lot of time involved in all of that stuff. And I've always really liked publishing. I remember there used to be a printer company in Sparta, Illinois, called Sparta Printing. And Marvel used to do a lot of their books there, along with some other and when I was, I don't know, I was 8. No, I was older than 18. I think I was older than 18. I think I just got back from film school and was sort of starting to work in commercial art and kind of trying to break into comics. I remember calling Sparta Printing in Illinois. I don't know. Now that I think about it, maybe I was 18 when I did this. This is before I even went to college. Asking them about printing costs and all this kind of stuff. So I've always been sort of entrepreneurial about that type of thing. But the thing with the comic industry is, in order to be successful as an entrepreneur, in other words, doing your own stuff, you have to be on the right books, mainstream books, to get seen so people know who you are, or you have to be in the industry long enough, like say someone like me, where people finally start to recognize your name a little bit, so that when you actually do your own thing, people aren't going, who's that guy? Why should I buy that book? And that's still a challenge, even if some people know who you are. I mean, obviously, if I was, had done a 3-year run on Batman with Scott Snyder, I think probably a few more people would know who I am than do right now. So something like that might be a little bit easier, but that is the thing. You sort of have to make your name in the regular industry before you can even think about going on your own. Although some people, of course, have done it the opposite way. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle guys. Jeff Smith did pretty well for himself with Bone for a while there, and but I've always wanted to work in mainstream comics. I was not just a guy who wanted to publish comics. I was a guy who wanted to, draw Spider-Man and Captain America and all these other characters. So my biggest problem is I've always got too many irons in the fire. There's too many things I really want to do all the time. And you can't do everything. You sort of have to focus on one thing at a time, which has been a challenge for me. Okay. You should take all of your film school short films and add them to your YouTube channel. I should, but I'm not going to. Actually, some of them aren't bad. I actually, we had our second year film projects, which was either a full color video or a black and white film, 16 millimeter film. Now, I wanted to do film. I did not want to do video. And so, and you partner up with somebody, and like you do the camera work and lighting on one guy's and editing on one guy's film, and then the other guy does that on yours, right? And so I wrote a short script. It was about 12 pages. Might have been 16, somewhere in that neighborhood, because the film was only supposed to be 10 minutes long, right? Pardon me, that is not true. They were supposed to be what was it, 8 minutes? And they're very uptight about it, It was because they were trying to make you understand what it's like actually working in the industry, and that if you want to do a 3-hour film, but your studio's going to say no, cut it. So we had to come up with these basically 8-minute films, and so I wrote my script for my 8-minute film and entered it in a screenwriting contest, and took 4th in the nation. How about that, huh? Now, here's the interesting thing. They invited us to this big banquet out at one of the hotels near the airport in LA. And because they had the top 10 finishers, right? And then they were going to announce them down to the winner. And, there's people from UCLA, and there was somebody from Texas Tech. I remember there was, I was the only USC person there, but NYU. I mean, there was people from all over, right, that had entered the screenwriting competition. It was for a short film. It wasn't. So, they're reading off the names, and I remember was like, you get down to the top 5, and this is when you start thinking, oh my gosh, I might have a chance. And I remember them going, and because they would announce the school first, right? So they'd go, and from UCLA in 5th place, and I'm like, okay, I'm in the top 4, right? And I'm thinking, yes. And so then then they get down to, and they go in 4th place from USC, and then I'm like, that's me, Aaron Lopresti. And so I went up there, I got this plaque and everything, but here's the joke. Martin Myhall was 5 to 8 minutes. Yeah, you're right. It had to be at least 5 minutes, but they could be no more than 8 minutes long. Mine went over and I got in trouble. But anyway, so I finished 4th, but only the top 3 places got money. So it was like 1st place was $1,000, which this is 1988, so, or 87. So, it was a fair chunk of change, especially for somebody who was a broke college student. So 1st place was $1,000, 2nd was $500, 3rd was $250, and 4th place was a plaque. So yeah, I was very upset. I was like 1 place away from getting a little bit of cash. So anyway, but that was sort of my claim to fame in film school, because I'm not sure that I did anything else worthwhile while I was there. But we had a good time, and I can't discount the value of having a good time when you're in school until you have to pay back all your student loans, which that's another story. Anyway, that film actually turned out pretty well, except there was some minor special effects at the beginning that they're so bad, like Plan 9 from Outer Space kind of bad, that I think my kids would mock me till eternity, and everybody else who'd see it online would mock me. But the rest of the film is actually decent. So I got a nice round of applause at the screening. So, oh my gosh, I was hyper at the screening. I was so nervous. Because they do like an auditorium, and there's like several hundred people in there, so it's like a big deal. They screen all these 2nd-year projects, and I was like, I was seriously sitting in my seat, like hyperventilating. I thought I was going to pass out. I was so nervous, but anyway, good time. And we did a bunch, I think 5 Super 8 films our first year, and I did some claymation in some of them that was actually kind of funny. I don't know. Maybe I should get those transferred to a video or whatever, and take a look at them again and see if they're maybe are good enough to. Well, the thing is, anytime you put a film up, especially a student film, you're just asking to get ripped apart by whoever sees it. So maybe I won't do it. I already talked myself out of it. Underoos and the minis are loving this, says Ashley McCree. Awesome. We're an all-age friendly show, so you don't have to worry about me. Now, wait a minute. When you're saying underoos, you're not talking about yourself, are you? You're talking about your kids, I hope. Okay. That's another story, Ashley and her underoos. But anyway, so there we go. Hey, Carol Danvers as Ms. Marvel. This is for Ike. If Ike's still around, we'll be shipping this out either tomorrow or Tuesday. But now I must sign it. I must claim it. Hey, Marty, if you're still watching, are you still in Southern California, or did you end up someplace else? I assume you're still in Southern California because that's where you were born, right? So, Hyper Potato is late again. His wife made tacos, and he, had to stuff his face, so I understand that. I'm totally on board with that. Except I do the cooking around here, so. I think there was some really nice small cut sirloin steaks on sale at Safeway the other day. So I picked up some of those. So I'm going to grill those along with some asparagus tonight. So sounds promising. Okay, so this was, okay, I can't remember. Was it 163? Drum roll, please. I'm pretty sure it was 163. Ike likes it, says thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like it. Yes, 163. Okay, now I got to go figure out what Steve Branson wanted, because I'm going to do his next, and then I'm going to do a Black Widow convention sketch for those of you who are in this for the long haul. All right, cool. So there's Carol Danvers, book number 163, ladies and gentlemen. 163. All right. So as you look at this white board in front of you, that was also a white balance. We used to have to do that on our video cameras for film school. We'd hold up a white card and do our white balance so the color would be correct. At least that's what they told us. You can hear me fitzing around here because I've got to find where I put down what Steve wanted for his sketch. Yeah, I'm still in Glendale. Glendale. Marty is still in Glendale, not the Pool Party Palace, though. Okay, well, you know, you do what you can. Stephen Ing says, Carol looks great. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to switch screens really, well, not switch screens for you, but switch. You can watch me type for a second because I've got to find out what Steve Branson had in mind because I cannot remember. And apparently he hasn't joined us yet, so okay, here we go. Steve said, by the way, okay, yeah, great. Please add the copies. Okay, that's not where it's at. So I'm going to go. I know this is really like, you guys are like, gee, Aaron, thank you for entertaining me by looking so I can see your keyboard. But if I can't remember what the dude wanted, then I can't exactly draw it, can I? Steve, where the heck are you? I usually write them down in my book, and I'm just ashamed of myself that I didn't do it. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, I hit Scarlet Witch. Okay, so maybe that's the only one I had to do. Ha! Okay, I guess that's the only one I have was that Ms. Marvel. I should just do one like with Frankenstein in it or something, shouldn't I? And see if anybody wants it. Well, yeah, let's get to Black Widow. I'm using Strathmore Bristle 11 by 14. This is a smooth surface. Now there's I keep going back and forth because with the smooth surface is really great for when I do colored pencil, but because I can get a really, really fine, soft look to the pencil on a slick surface. But the marker tends to sit on top of the paper rather than soak into it when I'm doing commissions like this. Whereas on a slightly rougher paper, the marker tends to soak in better. So, you know, one's better for one, one's better for the other. And I generally mix these. So, so I don't know what the moral of the story is. I guess I still haven't 100% decided which I like the best. And I mean, if I haven't figured it out by now, I probably am never going to. Yeah, what do I want to do here? I got to figure out what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. You know, I thought of this before I did it, and then I just changed my mind. So I'm going to draw my head first because I use the head to determine the actual size of the body. Usually 7 to 8 heads tall is what you normally end up with. This guy wanted a little bit more, I don't know if sexy is the right word, but he didn't want a real action-y pose. He wanted something a little bit more, I guess sexy is the word. Black Widow. So I don't know how sexy a woman with a gun pointed at you is, but I guess it depends what you're into, right? So we'll see. See how this turns out. Has anybody heard anything about what they're doing with the Black Widow movie, by the way? Because it was supposed to have come out, and I know obviously coronavirus, which has screwed up everybody's life. They're not releasing it in the studio, so I don't know if they just went to streaming with it, or if they're going to release it later this summer or something. Apparently nobody knows. So my roommate in college, Aaron Schneider, just directed a film with Tom Hanks in it called Greyhound, World War II naval thing. And it was supposed to come out Memorial Day. And because of the coronavirus, I think they're just going straight to streaming. I feel really bad for him, because it would have been like, I mean, he directed one other film, a smaller film called yeah, you know that one with Bill Murray and Sissy Spacek and Robert Duvall, where Robert Duvall is like an old hermit, and he fakes his own funeral to see what people are going to say about him and whatever. Yeah, he directed that. I can tell you the entire plot of the film, but I can't tell you the name of it. Anyway, he directed that, but he hasn't directed anything since that until this Tom Hanks movie. And I was thinking, oh, this is going to be huge for him, and then this happens. He doesn't even get theatrical release. So it's kind of sucky, but I think they're going to stream it in July or something. So I have to make sure you check that out. Greyhound, starring Tom Hanks, with a screenplay by Tom. So Tom, like I know him, like we're buds, me and Tom. I'm still not 100% sold on this. Well, you're really seeing the worst side of me, man. I usually can just knock these things out, and I've been struggled with that Planet Hulk to get what I liked, and now I'm not quite sure what my feeling is on this. Actually, you know what I want to do? I want to change everything. Oh, Black Widow was moved to November. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Make it more of a holiday film so that gets some box office out of it. Actually, the movie I'm kind of waiting for is, I am kind of burned out in the whole Marvel stuff, and tend to be getting a little too woke for me, if you know what I mean. But I always have a problem when people start shifting the purpose of their films for political ideology as opposed to quality entertainment value. But I am very interested in this Shang-Chi movie. But I don't know if they're where that's at either, because I know they probably had to stop filming, or if they were, I don't even know if they were filming. I know they were, weren't they? They had that cast. Weren't they filming Shang-Chi? Or maybe they, I don't know. I hope I didn't just offend like 30 people with my little political commentary there, but I just think the most important thing, and here I go again, with especially, you're doing something artistically, whether it's a film or you're writing a book or you're drawing a comic or something, should be, the story, the entertainment value, rather than, it can be ideological in the story and stuff, but if that's the main purpose for making the movie, then you're sort of killing yourself at the box office, in my opinion. It's the story has got to come first. Okay, well, I don't know, maybe I'll bend that arm out a little bit. It's not really a political commentary, it's more of an artistic commentary. So all right, I do only classic characters. So I'm going to do that big circle belt that Black Widow. I think, you know, a nice tilt of her head might actually make this a little bit better for what I'm going for here. I always like to get a lot of movement in the hair. It's a little bit harder because she's sort of short-haired. Okay, I think that's going to work. Warren Montgomery says, I avoid the theater. I haven't seen a Marvel film in years. I can't believe that. You don't go and see Marvel films? I have to admit, I was a little, I'm not a big, I wasn't really into all the new Star Wars stuff at all, but I was kind of geeked up on the Avengers, you know, how they were going to bring all this first wave or phase one or whatever it's called, phase 1 through 3, or I don't even know, the Marvel movies, how it was all going to turn out. And I know people are sort of lambasting the logic behind it, but I thought it was fun. You know, I was satisfied when I left the theater, and I guess that's kind of the idea, right? Hyper Potato says, I don't think I've seen a movie in theater in 2 years. I've got 2 kids and no babysitters. Well, okay, yeah, okay. That's an excellent excuse. My wife won't go to the theater. She has a bad neck, so she just like looking up all the time is, you know, it's not worth it. So I have to go with my son, who's 26, but he has the same taste in films, generally speaking, that I do. Every time Jaws shows up at one of our local second-run theaters here, we always go and see that. We have a really nice theater out here called the Joy Theater, and every once in a while they'll play like an old Hitchcock film, or like I said, they'll run Jaws or something like that you're like, wow, I got to go see that. And they never had that big of crowds in there, you know, so I don't think there's any reason why it'd be open right now. So maybe I should drive by and see. Okay, last film I saw in a theater was Avengers 2. Okay, well, that's the last one I saw. That's the last one they did, isn't it? I burned out on the MCU films years ago. They're a bit too comedy for me. You know, having Hulk being a joke character is weird to me. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. That's 3G. But I was so invested in all the Marvel films I had. You know, it's kind of like you have to sort of see it through to the bitter end, right? And a lot of them I liked. I mean, I did like Ant-Man a lot, and that was kind of a comedy film, but I thought it worked. And yeah, I think that belt's too high. Her belt's kind of a hip belt, isn't it? And not hip like hipster, but around her hips. So I think I had to actually write the first time here. In fact, I could argue that Ant-Man is one of my more favorite films. I haven't been too high on the Spider-Man stuff. I think it's okay. My daughter loves it, but of course, because she's in love with Tom Holland. But I thought the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, the first two, were really, really excellent, especially the second one with Doc Ock. I don't think they've kind of caught that magic again yet. Marty says he drives by the Jaws attraction at Universal 5 times a day. It's like living the movie, man. When that shark comes out of the water, not quite as good. My son did I've told this story before, but it's a good story, or mentioned this before. My son did an internship at Legacy Special Effects, which did all the Marvel movies and stuff. And so he got to work on, he didn't actually work on any of the Marvel films. He worked on the Shape of Water, and then some robot dog film called Axel, specifically. But they were working on multiple things while he was there. And some of the Star Wars TV show stuff and things they were prepping for. But that was pretty cool. He went on location to shoot one of the Aflac duck commercials. And oh my gosh, Marty, do you drive for the studio tour? Dude, I have got to come down there and have you drive me around. Are they open? Is Universal open right now? And do you get to use your own comedy material, or do they have you on script? Yes, you do your own material, or yes, they have you on script? No. Oh my gosh. Can you? Yes, they have you on script. No, you don't get to do your own material. Or is it the other way around? See, you've got to give me more information, man. I can't even remember what I asked now. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, that's true. So there's a driver, and then there's the dude with the microphone, right, doing all the shtick. Okay, all right. I got you. Now, I did get to go on get my whole family on a Warner Brothers tour, which of course is not the same as Universal Studios, but it's kind of like a backlot thing. And I pulled some strings and asked some people at DC to get me hooked up, so I didn't have to pay for it because I'm too cheap. And that was kind of fun. Well, and the reason I brought up my son was he never actually, he had just missed out. Either they just did it before he got there. There was some, I can't even remember what the commercial was for, but some guy was telling this story about them catching this giant fish and everything out, and it turned out to be like a 12-inch trout or something. But he described it as, they're out in the rough sea, and there was this giant sort of weird looking fish that he pulled out of the water and everything. It was a commercial for something. But anyway, they actually filmed it in the Jaws tank at Universal. And the guy that was his mentor there, who actually worked on Jurassic Park, was telling him they were out there like in the water, like at 2 a.m., filming this thing. And I mean, that to me sounds like a lot of fun, like when you're 20, not so much if you're 50, but. Oh, and that, what was the movie with Russell Crowe and, oh gosh, the blonde dude that they were sort of detectives in the 70s. Ryan, anyway, he was in that musical with the blonde chick. I can't remember his name anymore. But they had that one scene that had that giant bee in the backseat of the car that was kind of a dream sequence or whatever. Well, they had that bee on display at the movie theater where the movie was going to premiere down in Hollywood. The Nice Guys, yeah, that's it. And so my son was working there at the time, so he had to load this bee in the passenger seat of his car and drive down the highway in LA right to set up this thing for the premiere. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? He's driving along and there's this giant bee in the passenger seat. So that was good stuff. Only in LA, right? La La Land. Yeah, that was a musical. Yeah. Thanks, John. Yeah. Ryan Gosling. Yeah, see, there you go. What did I say his name was? I don't remember. But anyway, yeah, Ryan Gosling. Yes. I remembered Russell Crowe, though. And La La Land I actually liked. It's kind of a sad ending, but I did like the movie. It was kind of an old school musical, which I hated musicals when I was a kid, but really came to appreciate them after I saw Singing in the Rain, which I think is just such a great movie. But I still, like Sound of Music, I can't stand. I know it's like heresy to some people, but and West Side Story has some nice musical numbers in it, but I can't stand it because it's like I can't get into a drama that's a musical, right? Oh, here come the Nazis. Let's start singing. I was just like, ugh. But as a comedy, I can buy it, and as a how should we say, a fantasy romance kind of thing, I can, like a Brigadoon or something, with Gene Kelly and Van Johnson and Sid Charisse. Oh, Sid Charisse. Those are, because it's more of a fantasy film than it is a reality. So, but these ones that are like musical dramas are like, oof. And I guess La La Land had some drama in it, human drama, but I felt it was kind of more of a lighthearted, whimsical fantasy type thing. So Marty, if you're still there, if you if you break for lunch or whatever, do you get to go? Do you go in the Universal Commissary and with all the actors and stuff, or do you have someplace else you eat or whatever? Because I went there one time. William Stout, the artist, who's a friend of mine. That's me name dropping. He was working for, this was years ago, he was working for Spielberg on a bunch of, they were like video game parks, if that makes any sense. They were like I think there was one up in Seattle, and he was doing all the interior design and stuff for them, and DreamWorks was putting together these things. And so my wife and I and Terry Dodson and Rachel Dodson, we were all down in LA movie poster shopping for a weekend, if you can believe that, when they used to have like shops. You could actually go inside and buy movie posters. And this is back in the 90s. And so he put our name on a list. We went to the lot at Universal, and they let us in, and we met Bill Stout. And then he showed us where he's working and what he's working on, all that kind of stuff. And then we went to the commissary. Oh, he says, Mart says, no, we have our own place. It's mostly sitting in the break room with a bunch of drivers. Where's the excitement in that, man? But so we got to go into the commissary, right? And so we're standing in this buffet or whatever, buffeteria, cafeteria type style food in line, and with the cast for the television show Weird Science, okay, which was, decades ago, for those of you who may or may not remember that. But so they were just, and so we were just talking. I was talking to the girl that was the lead in the show, and then my wife, but I knew who it was, right? My wife was like up in front, like a couple people up in front of me in line, and she was yakking it up and joking with the two male leads, and she had no clue who they were. And it was just so funny because we had to tell her later that, oh, you know, those guys were from the television show. She's like, what? You know, she's like, wanted to go back and get their autograph kind of thing. But yeah, so that was kind of one of those little stories that doesn't really ever go anywhere, but you know, it's kind of fun to tell, I guess, until you get to the end and everybody's like, that's the payoff. You're like, well, you know, what are you going to do? I've got to, you know, even though she's sort of being kind of cutesy here, I do think she is Black Widow, so I think she has to be cutesy with a purpose. So we're going to make her a little angry looking here, like, I know something you don't know, pal. All right. So of course we know the face is the most important thing. So let's make sure that face has turned out good. Let me see if I can get in here a little bit closer as I work on Black Widow's face. Okay. That's still not great, but that's the best I can do. I'm not someone who necessarily will go with the really, really tiny nose. I try to make the nose at least somewhat realistic in size, but we want to make sure the shape of it, though, is still appealing. Those eyes, I think, should be looking at us, not slightly away from us. Yeah, kind of like she knows something that we don't, because she probably does. She's a secret agent. She's got all sorts of information that we don't have. Marty, thanks for stopping by, man. It was great chatting with you, even though online. But anyway, take care, man. One of my good friends from film school. So does anybody remember why Marvel teamed up Black Widow with Daredevil in the comics? Because you remember that there was like around it was mid 70s or so that like she became like is kind of like when Captain America and the Falcon became Captain America and the Falcon. It was sort of like Daredevil and Black Widow. And I don't know. I think did they end up having some sort of romantic involvement for a while? John Smith, romantic interest, right? Or was it really that, hey, we got to do something with Black Widow and Daredevil sells like terribly, so maybe if we put her in there, maybe more people will buy it. I don't know. They used to do a lot of weird stuff like that in the 70s. Like, remember the Legion of Monsters? It was like Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night, Morbius the Living Vampire, and Ghost Rider. Okay? So, I'm sorry, but Man-Thing can't even think, right? So how can he be in your team? He's like worse than the Hulk. You can't communicate with him at all. So how is he in your team? And then you got Werewolf by Night, who's a werewolf and is not like a, hey, Joe, how's it going? I'm a werewolf tonight. I mean, he's like a frothing beast. So how do you control him? And you got Ghost Rider and Morbius, who probably could work together under certain circumstances. So I always thought that was interesting, although I bought it. They never did a series. They did that one issue in, was it, I want to say it was Marvel Premiere. And, man. I mean, of course, when I saw it as a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. But now that I think about it, it was like, that doesn't really make much sense. And they also had about that same time they did the Champions, where they took every character that wasn't involved in like his own book and made a super team out of them for a while. Like they had the Angel and Iceman because no one wanted, you know, they couldn't hang around with the X-Men anymore because they weren't cool enough at that period of time. That was right when the new X-Men were out. And so, you know, they got thrown to the curb. And then Hercules, you know, he was the leader. Black Widow, I think, was in there, and Ghost Rider. So, and that lasted actually for a while. Of course, they had the Defenders. And that actually lasted a good long time. But the Defenders, to me, were kind of like the anti-Avengers, you know? They were sort of just slightly under the radar. And of course, the original team of Submariner, Doctor Strange, and Hulk, that was a very odd combination. Again, what characters do we have laying around we can put in a team? Although Hulk stayed in this group for a while. Maybe Doctor Strange. I can't even remember. I have to go back and read this stuff, but it's like Doctor Strange maybe put a calming force, you know, a calming spell on him so they could actually get him to work together. And the Submariner, there's a guy that's like pissed off all the time. He's not a guy you want on your team because he's always ticked off, although he's super strong. So, and Silver Surfer joined later for a while. And then, of course, it's where Nighthawk really found his home. I really quit reading comics regularly about when I was 16, which was 1980. Because, you know, once you get a car and you actually start chasing girls, it's like, you don't have time to read comics anymore. I mean, I still kept in touch with them and read them a little bit in the 80s in college and things like that, and somewhat in the early 90s again when I was getting back into the industry or getting into the industry. But most of my comic book knowledge is prior to 1980. And I know most of you are way younger than that, except John Smith. John Smith is older than me, but he looks younger than me, and that's all that matters. Oh, her wristbands. That's right. Thank you. I forgot her wristbands. See, Warren is always on top of this stuff, man. He's always on my case. Whenever I post something, he's like, well, why? Where's this? And why did you do that? And hey, you forgot to do this. I'm like, okay, thanks a lot, man. But at least this time he told me, well, I could do something about it. Because he used to shoot those little poison darts or little black arrow or black widow stinger things or whatever the heck they were called. So you know what I really should have done is I should have done it with the long 70s hair is what I should have done, right? But so everybody's so used to seeing her with the short hair now that that would really be a throwback. All right, Warren, thanks for that. I will remember you in my will. One of the reasons I picked Black Widow, because this guy gave me like 3 choices of things he was would be interested in having done. One of them was Wonder Woman, but it's like, we've seen that before, at least from me. And I kind of wanted to, I think I may have done it before, but I wanted to kind of take a look at, show you guys how I approach this sort of black leather kind of approach. Adam Hughes does it exceptionally well, and nobody does it as good as he does, so I'll be a second rater compared to him, but second rater, not second grader. Although he could make that argument as well. And the guns I just sort of make up so they sort of look like something you've seen before, because I'm not going to walk over there and pull out my gun reference. Just not going to do it. I didn't really finish that hand. I kind of have to finish that before I ink it. Wait a minute, not like the Justice League cover of Batman missing his arms. Are you talking about Justice League International #1? Did I leave the spikes off his glove? I had to have added them later. Because there's no way I would have got away with that, if that's what you're talking about, which I kind of remember now that I might have done that. Yes. Randy, hey, Aaron, just got home and tuned in. Looks great. Is this for you, Randy? I can't even remember. I'll have to look at my list. By the time I look, he's going to tell me. Okay, you're not on that list, so this maybe it is for you. It probably is. I have the booth banner. I seriously didn't have spikes on that booth, on that banner. So Ashley has given her dad a little sass right there, which is something I'm quite familiar with. Yeah, it is for Randy. This is for you. Yep, Black Widow. I did her the short hair, but I gave her the 70s costume. And then I was kind of thinking, gosh, I should have given her the long 70s hair, but she's had short hair for so long that I don't know if anybody would make the connection. So you got 70s attire with more modern hair. Oh, that's right. That's right. Because yeah, there was originally in Justice League International, there was a Dan Jurgens character called Klepto or something like that. She was a master thief. And now get a load of this. This is why she was removed from the team, because, and I can say this about Dan because he's not editor in chief anymore. And but Dan DiDio felt that too many people, and this was the New 52, right? And they weren't doing anything with Donna Troy. And everybody was assuming this character was Donna Troy. And so they were like, oh my gosh, Donna Troy's coming back in Justice League International. And what I would have done if I had been Dan was I would have milked that for all it's worth, right? And just say, be really mysterious about it. Go, oh, I'm not saying who it is, and blah, blah, blah. But instead he came right out and said, no, that's not who it is. And then they just took her out and said they didn't want anybody making speculation about Donna Troy and her fate and everything. So that's when it became what's her face, the blonde Medusa character, Godiva. And but that was on the original cover. So Batman without spikes on his glove and Klepto, which then became Godiva, and Batman with spikes on his glove. So, all right. Now let's ink this delicate flower of the face. Thank Ashley sticking up for me, John. I want to see your daughter. She knows. I may grow silent here for a second as I try to appear like I'm concentrating. I have switched to a 1 or 0.10 or a 1 point, yeah, 0.1. 0.1 is what I'm trying to say, which is a very fine tip. So I can get it done the right way. Yay. There we go. All right, so what's left for us? Well, we got to tackle this body leather here. Let's see if I can pull it off. Not pull off her outfit, but, pull off the artwork aspect of her outfit. Okay. Did I mention I have comic books and prints for sale? I do. And you know what? We may go over that before I'm finished with this, because it's all about the sales or lack thereof. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and leave some highlights. Just try and keep it consistent where my light source is hitting, although So I do this quickly to try and get, excuse me, more of a random feel to it. These I'm going to fill in with gray, and then I'll probably go back in with a white charcoal pencil to put in the highlights. The one thing I always hate about characters with all black costumes, like something like this or Batman, it's like if you get if you're at a convention and you're doing something like this back to back, you can like drain your black marker in like a matter of minutes. And there's nothing more messy and disgusting than trying to refill one of these black markers. So on one hand, you go, oh, this is kind of easy because I can just fill in all the black. But on the other hand, you're wiping out your ink supply. Now, hopefully when I get this done, it'll just come alive and pop and really look three-dimensional. And Randy will be like, oh, wow, I really got my money's worth. We'll see. The other thing is I'm going to use a cool gray over the top of this black, which is going to make the black bleed a little bit. But that doesn't bother me because I kind of want a blend effect out of this black anyway. Because there wouldn't necessarily really be grays on here. There would be black, and then you kind of want your white highlights to fade into your black, which is what you try and create with the gray. Sounds good in theory. We'll find out if it actually works or not. Oops, sorry. It'd probably be good for me at some point to sit down and really like invest in a leather jacket and just kind of see how the light plays off it instead of just like making stuff up. But I'm kind of like I'm part Frazetta, part Kirby, in that Kirby had this great quote where he said something to the effect of, I don't get paid to erase, and which I kind of dig that. I'd rather not do as little erasing as possible. Get it right the first time. And then Frazetta was always quite proud of the fact that he, said he never used reference, which is probably a lie, but he always drew out of his head. I mean, he used reference for his paintings, I know, but he'd always kind of, I think Frazetta was really good at making his legend, you know, creating his own sort of legend for himself. How about Collins's Miles Morales Spider-Man? How about it? That was a really good movie. Into the Spider-Verse. And I loved how they had that sort of danger warning at the beginning because it had like some trippy backgrounds in it that's like, you know, if you're on LSD or something, you shouldn't watch this movie or whatever it was. It was pretty cool though. I thought it was really good. It wasn't what I was expecting. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right. Ashley clarified her comment. Well, the worst thing about that was getting his webbing over the top of a black costume. That was monumentally a pain in the butt. And I can't even remember what I did. I wonder if I took a red colored pencil. No, that wouldn't have worked. What did I do? Did I do red paint? I can't even remember, but I swore I'd never do another Miles Morales after I did that one. Because trying to ink around all that webbing and then filling with red is not the easiest thing. Dad said it wasn't your most favorite. Well, yeah, I complained about it forever on having to do it. Because someone says, hey, I want a Miles Morales. And you're like, okay, cool. And then you're like, wait a minute. This is not cool. This is a lot of hard work. Well, hard work, not like, you know, digging a ditch hard work, but trying to figure out how to do the webbing over the top of the black. And I did figure it out, but I can't remember what I did. So, but if I never do one again, I don't have to worry about it, do I? Okay. All right, so now comes the challenging stuff here. There's no point in erasing inside the black because it's all going to get covered up with the dark gray stuff anyway, but the other stuff that isn't black probably could use a little bit of erasing on it before I hit it with the marker. Then I erase the face, and all the half the line stuff just disappears. I have to go back over it with line work anyway after I'm done. But let's see. Okay, We're going cool gray. I'm going to start with a 5 and then go 3 and maybe a 0. Let's just see what happens. I'll do her face last. So I'm going to go on around the edge of that black with a 5. Still leaving some of that white in there for the time being. It's all going to get covered up eventually with a lighter gray. I'm going to use a gray 0 to go in there and kind of blend this, and then, well, you'll see. You'll see if you're willing to wait. Actually, it won't be that long from now. This will go pretty quickly. These markers start to screech on the paper. That means they're running low. But I must get through this before I refill. I must. All right, so I'm just going to skip the old 3 because I don't really need it. I don't have that much room. I'm just going to go over all this with a 0. That'll hopefully bleed the 5 in, blend the 5 in a little bit better. Okay, I lied. I'm going to go with the 3 after this. So I'm going to go in and fill in that white, hitting the edges of that gray. This really didn't bleed like I thought it was going to. I have the weirdest luck with these. When I don't think it's going to bleed, it bleeds. And I do think it's going to bleed, and then it doesn't bleed. Okay, so now I am going to take that 3. When I say 3, I mean a C3, a gray, cool gray number 3. Go over this. That 0 really just sort of gives me, wets the paper down a little bit so that this blends easier. All right, and then I'm going to take my 5 again and just do the edges. Because these markers do act cumulatively. So yeah, it's a 5 gray, but if I put a 5 gray over a 5 gray, it's still going to get darker because it has an additive effect. And I want the gray that's closer to the black to be darker. Isn't that baby squeak? Okay, that looks kind of shiny, but it's going to look more shiny when I get done with it. I think you did the black first and then the red over it. Yeah, I think you're right, but I don't remember how I did it. In fact, I know that's what I did. I wonder if I used like white acrylic and did the line work, and then no, I could have. I don't remember. I don't remember. Scotty from Star Trek, from the episode of Wolf in the Fold, where they thought he was Jack the Ripper. Scotty, did you kill that girl? I don't remember. Where else can you get Black Widow sketches and Star Trek reference and a Scotty impersonation all in the same video? Right here, ladies and gentlemen. Right here. Hello, Aaron. Thanks again for the beautiful Red Sonja commission. Doused Darum. He lives in France. It only took 60 days for that to get there. Wow. The mail is not moving fast in Europe. Actually, it's not bad in other places. France is really bad for whatever reason. I've got some guys waiting, some French guys waiting on commissions, but we're sort of like debating when I should mail it out because it takes so stinking long to get there. But they've got to be opening up a little bit now. Do a pretty decent, a pretty decent Jimmy Doohan. Well, I do a few lines. Actually did I have the script for Star Trek 2, and a couple of years ago, I had my daughter and one of her friends do a reading with me. And they were still in junior high. And the one girl was Russian, right? Now, she was born in the US, so she didn't have a Russian accent, but her parents did. Very thick Russian accents. And so I thought, okay, I said, you're going to read all of Chekhov's parts because you've got to know how to do a Russian accent, right? Because you hear it all the time. She was terrible, terrible at it. I was so disappointed. I said, how can you have Russian parents and not be able to do a good Russian accent? But so I shamed her. That's what I do. Not really, but I do it to kids who come in my house and eat my food. If they can't do a Russian accent, then they're going to hear about it. Okay. I'm going to do the highlights last. So as what's his face said in Jurassic Park, hang on to your butts. I literally cannot remember anybody's name. Come on. Nick Fury. I remember their comic book name. Oh. Now I'm not using color, so I can't make these yellow, but they're supposed to be. So I use a warm gray, which kind of looks a little yellow. It doesn't on your picture that you're seeing, but in real life it does. Samuel L. Jackson, yes, of course. How could I forget that? But he was in Jurassic Park, and before they switched back on the computers in the system, he goes, hang on to your butts. And that's not an impersonation. I don't do Samuel L. Jackson, but that's just what he said. He got eaten anyway, so. All right, I think we should go in and do her face. That's what I think. I have a strong feeling about it. I am getting old, Ashley. Seriously. No, Samuel L. Jackson is correct. Yes, everybody's chimed in for their no prize. It was indeed Samuel L. Jackson, who was pretty much in every movie ever made since Jurassic Park or that Tarantino film that I can't remember the name. Pulp Fiction. Hey, I remembered. Yeah, but like since then, Samuel L. Jackson's been in every movie ever made. It's amazing. Go to see King Kong. There's Samuel L. Jackson. All right. I got to do a little bit of work on her face with the Snakes on a Plane. Come on now. Now, I had heard that he agreed to do Snakes on a Plane because he thought the title was just so ridiculous and over the top. He's like, yeah, I got to do that. Well, then they were going to change the name of the film. And he said, if you change the name of the film, I'm not doing it. So, and I agree with him because it wasn't a good movie, but the only reason anybody went and saw it was because of the title. I did not go see it, though. I was not fooled by the title. I knew it would suck. And I hate spending money on movies that suck, except for Arnold Schwarzenegger films. And occasionally The Rock. I'll go see a... Randy, yes, I can. I will dedicate this to you. Oh my G. What is that for? Snakes on a Plane? Like, what was that that rock movie that came? Well, it was a while ago now, but Rampage or whatever that was like based on the video game or something that had those giant monsters in it. Come on, who doesn't want to go see that? And an ape that can talk, sort of. No, do sign language. That's what it was. I mean, ridiculous film, but loved every second of it. I'm not really keen on his buddy movies, but I will go see The Rock in a ridiculous monster movie. Okay, I think that you can't really tell how nice those flesh tones are, but you have to trust me. Randy, you'll get to see him in person. And when I scan it and post it, you'll be able to see it better. All right, I got to go in and punch up her eyes. It's so hard when you're inking over the top of a pencil, especially on something super delicate like a small eye like this. You can't really tell. What it looks like until you actually erase the pencil, and then it becomes fairly clear where you need to go in and touch up. I'm gonna soften her jawline just a bit, I think. Yeah, baby. A little ear there. Jared says it was awesome. Well, thank you, Hyper Potato. That was my quest. Hot and dangerous. Of course, any girl with a gun is, or any person with a gun, but in this situation, the girl with a gun is going to be dangerous regardless of anything else. Unless, of course, the guns aren't loaded. Excuse me while I take a drink. All right, so we use a little red marker on our hair because that's just kind of how I do things. And this is how we know, even though if we didn't know already it was Black Widow, this is now we definitely know it's Black Widow. I keep thinking about that 70s hairdo of hers when she was guest starring in Daredevil, where it kind of was like long but had sort of that bun on the top. Very 70s look. One might even say it was kind of groovy. Okay, Randy says this is going up on his wall, so we have to hold him to that. I'd put it up on my wall, but my wall's already full. Okay. Ooh, got to do those guns. Sort of important. Can't even tell on her belt that there's something going on there, but there is. Ooh, I didn't do her finger here. Well, I'll get that in a second. Okay, I'm going to go with a little bit of a darker gray on this gun. Sweet. You know, I'm one of those people that, like, if I'm someplace or, you know, sitting around people or whatever, like, I can't sit there and not talk. It seems so awkward, you know, to have these moments of silence. And I'm doing the same thing with you guys because I know you're sitting there watching, so I feel like I have to entertain you. I had somebody wanted to come over and wanted to watch me draw, watch how I did it and things like that. And I kept telling people no, because I feel like I have to entertain you if you're there. And they're like, no, you don't have to say anything. I just want to watch. I'm like, I just can't do it. There's someone sitting in a room. I have to, like, you know, speak to them. Even if I've got nothing to say, which is generally the truth. Okay, so go a little bit darker on some of these with this warm gray on this stuff that would be yellow. Getting a laugh out of Ashley, and that's all that matters. I think I could have done an old radio variety show. You know, as long as I didn't have to sing, it would have been all right. All right, so this appears to be almost done, but is it really? Now we have to go in. No, I'm going to put her lips on her first. Oh, trigger finger, thank you. I did forget. I remembered, then I forgot again. Okay, so we got her lips. Okay, now we'll do her trigger finger. She has an itchy trigger finger. I don't want to press too hard. I don't want her to shoot me. Okay, so now we got to go in here and highlight this sucker up. So here's the key. This little thing right here. This is this isn't just a colored pencil. It is a charcoal white. It's very thick and it's very opaque and it's very chalky, but it lays over the top of markers and stuff brilliantly. It will not go over the top of colored pencil, but it will go over the top of marker and paint. So, and you can, it really works well if you're going in here for some highlights and stuff. Now again, you're not going to see the contrast quite as great as it is in the original, but you will see it when I scan it. So, but you can still see how it kind of creates a nice hot spot there of reflection, which is what we're after. But you can see, look, just what I did right there with that line, how that it goes right over the top of the black. It's just, you know, you don't, when you're using like pro white or one of these whiteout type things, they look white when you put them down, but then after they dry, the kind of black kind of soaks through the bottom of the white and it turns into sort of a gray. That's why I really like using these chalk pencils, because you don't have any of that. I mean, it is as white as you want to get it. And also, if I made a mistake, like right there, I can use this pencil over the top of it to kind of correct where I went outside the lines. Yeah, it almost is like chalk on a chalkboard, though. Definitely don't want her two legs bleeding together here. We want some separation, so that'll come in and give us a nice little white line there to do that. Alrighty. You say, wow, Aaron, that's wonderful. Are you done? And I would say, actually, no, I'm not done yet. I'm getting close, though. I want to put a few more lines of hair in here. We'll use a 0.1. Again, no, wait. And you can see that a little bit better there. I got to go in there and put blue in her eyes too. And then occasionally, and on this occasion, I will go in and put a little white out in the hair too. Charlie Ramirez, what is the brand of the white pencil, Aaron? It is a... Well, it's called charcoal white is the color. And I have worn off no. Gen, I can't read the rest of it because I wiped it out. It's GEN are the first three letters, and it's a charcoal white. I got this at Blix. So you should be able to find it because it has that natural wood. See, the name is right there and it's wiped out. I can't read it. But see, we have a Blix store here that I can actually go into and just grab the pencil. If I was ordering it online, I think you can still, if you just typed in like charcoal white pencil, I think it would probably come up. So put a little white in there to kind of give her some more line work in the hair, a little more detail. Okay, normally I outline these in black with a thick black like a 0.8, but she already is all outlined in black because she's black. Her costume is black. So I will do the gun because you put markers over the top of these and the lines do get a little gray. So I want to kind of punch it up a little bit. Doused Durham says, amazing art, beautiful like always. Thank you, Doused. I'm going to show that because it's a nice little compliment. And I always like to, make myself look good whenever I can. Fred wants to know, are you working on any new books? Well, I just finished Justice League 50, so you'll be looking for Justice League 48, 49, and 50 coming to a retail store near you. And then I'm doing a Justice League annual. At least I'm supposed to be doing a Justice League annual unless something's changed. I'll find out more about that on Monday. After that, though, it may be the Breadline. We shall see. Or independent publishing. I don't know. I had a really good connection with Dan DiDio, and he always took really good care of me. And now that he's not there anymore, I don't know if anybody cares about me or not. They say they do, but do they really? I don't know. I don't know if they do. We'll find out. This pencil's really good for sort of correcting some errors or adding some little details or areas of, and they can turn into areas of gray if I don't push too hard, because it's going to let more of the black through, which will then gray the white. But if I press really hard, and it'll look white. It's just the miracle of science. All right, so you look at this and you think, okay, well, he must be done now. And I'm like, not quite. Quit getting so anxious. I'm not quite done yet. I'm going to erase a little bit more of this blue, which you can't see anyway, but I can. And Randy can see it on the original when he gets it, so he'll appreciate the fact that I cleaned it up a little bit more. Okay. So then, oh, you know what? I'm going to go over this, her hair up here and darken this in a little bit, just the outline. comes to life. And I want to go in and touch up her eyes just a little bit more. So put that blue pencil in there and you kind of lose her, it dulls her pupils a little bit. Okay. It feels so right. Okay, so now I'm going to take a warm gray 3 and do something that let's see what's going on there. Okay, so I'm going to take a warm gray 3 and outline her with this. And hopefully not run out of ink before I get all the way. I don't know why I started doing this. I think I saw a sketch Adam Hughes did, and he wasn't doing this specifically, but he was like really being loose. And so he had, some of this kind of bleeding out around the figure. And I really liked that sort of light outline around the figure. So I started purposely doing it. So it's not too obnoxious because it's not too dark, but in fact, you can probably hardly see it. But it does look really nice on the finished piece. And it has become sort of a trademark of what I do in my, I don't want to even call them sketches anymore. I'll call them con commissions. And so people see it and they order one and they expect to get the same treatment as everybody else. So if I were to radically change my approach, I would certainly post some stuff so people knew that I was doing something different. I wouldn't just like take a commission and give somebody something totally different and abstract than what I had been doing for the past, 10 years or whatever. Oops. I'm just putting some little dinky line work in here because I can't help myself. After you read like Barry Smith's Conan or even John Severin's King Cole, which were kind of staples of me growing up, this guy's used a lot of little line work, and so I sort of became kind of a thing. And I used to think Wrightson used a lot of line work. I mean, obviously he did in his Frankenstein stuff, but his comic book stuff, he really didn't. I mean, he feathered, out of his blacks and everything, but he created volume by using great placement of shadows and black areas. And so his stuff actually looked way more detailed than it actually was. And of course, his Frankenstein stuff is ridiculously detailed. But I was already kind of formulating my style before that stuff came out. I'm going to do a few thin line hairs coming out of there. I don't know why, but I am. Okay, so let's take a look at what I've accomplished. Ashley wants something totally different. I know, that's how you get to be famous, to do something totally different, and I'm too chicken to do something totally different. Okay, let me zoom out of here. If I put it like this, she looks way hippier than she is. I mean, hippier meaning wide through this. And although I do tend to draw women with hips, she wasn't like out of control. So there we go. It again, all the nuance and stuff in these sketches is much more obvious when you actually see the real thing. And like I said, it'll be very clear when I scan this, and then I'll post it online and on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, so you guys can see what it actually looks like. Excuse me. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to assign this to Randy because he asked me to do that. So you'll go over here and say to Randy. The problem with personalizing is like I never really know, you know, thanks for buying my stuff. I don't know, you know. So I just usually put thanks. So let's see. Let's go here. Let's go to Randy. Thanks. It's about as personal as it can get. Then we'll sign it. Boom. There it is. Look at how straight that is without a ruler or ruled edge. I'm telling you. Okay, so we have 19 people watching, so let's do this. This ends the drawing portion of our show. I want to go quickly back over to my con table before we close this out. Oh, wait a minute. Court Carpenter says, having seen a few of my friends' Lopresti commissions up close and my own, he is right. There is so much more detail there than what shows on screen here. And Roscoe Davis backs it up and says, very true. And I say, yes, it is. So let's move that, and let's move this over here. And let's go over this real quickly again in case you joined us late and missed the first part of this video. And take a look at some deals to be had. I really want to get rid of these trade paperbacks. They take up a lot of room. So here we go. I've got a Justice League International trade paperback of my run on Justice League International. I only have one of these, so the first person that gets in touch with me about getting this is yours. Metamorpho. If you want to know what kind of a writer I am, check this out, because I wrote it and I drew it. Sword and Sorcery, featuring Amethyst, all 7 issues, right packed into this trade paperback. Future Quest presents. This includes my Herculoids 3-part Herculoids story. So these will all come signed, by the way, and the trade paperbacks are all 60% off. 60% off, and free shipping. It's unbelievable. Let me do this. Let me switch my banner real quick. There we go. There's all my contact information scrolling on the bottom. Okay, let's go over here real quick to these other trades. Star Trek. Who doesn't love a good Kirk story? I got a ton of these. I have an Excalibur Volume 2. I only have one of these. This is my run on Excalibur with Chris Claremont. Death of Hawkman. I have a ton of these. Get one signed, 60% off. The Damage Collection. Yeah, baby. Oh, look, they put my name first. Aaron Lopresti, Robert Venditti, Matt Ryan. Why is my name first? Because when we did Damage and all the new hero books, we worked Marvel style, old school Marvel style, which was Robert would give me a plot, and then I would just draw it, and then he'd go back in dialogue over the top of what I drew. So he wasn't really controlling every page. He was controlling sort of the plot and where it was going. But I did an issue where they fought the Justice League, and there was a 10-page fight with Superman, 8 or 10 pages. He just goes, okay, so they fight for 8 pages, and they end up here. And so then I had to, so then I went and choreographed the whole fight and everything. So I guess that's why I got first crack, because I was co-plotter, technically speaking, as well as artist. I have only one of these. This is a hardcover Detective Gothtopia. You can get that signed by me, 60% off, but only one left. And a hardcover Convergence. Only one of these left. These are all free shipping, but on these comic book items or graphic novels, or pardon me, trade paperbacks, you have to have a minimum order of $10. Because it's just not worth it for me to ship it to you if I'm paying more than $10 to ship something, or paying $5 to ship something and you're paying $3 for a comic. All these comics that we went over before, Infinite Crisis, Dark Multiverses. This is a 48-page prestige format book, $250. All these comics, Aquaman, $250. 100-page giant Swamp Thing, $250. Aquaman, 100-page giant, $250. Sludge #1, silver foil cover, limited edition, $5. That's a little bit more expensive. The Archie 1955, Archie 1941, and Archie the Married Life, where we find out he actually married Veronica. I had no idea. I did covers for all these, not the interiors. Those are $2.50. Justice League 41, 2 different cover options. Let's move this guy over here. That's the alternate cover. This is the regular Brian Hitch cover. Oops. I actually did draw on the inside of that. Inked by Matt Ryan. 42. The Brian Hitch cover. And then 42 with the alternate cover, white one, and then the dealer incentive silver color cover. Those are $5 a piece because they're special, apparently. Limited edition Dark Knight 3 Masterrace cover that I did. This is the black and white version, obviously. I guess it's overstating the obvious. There's a color regular version, but this is like a dealer incentive black and white version. These are $5 a piece. And then I've got 100-page Wonder Woman, 100-page giant from Walmart. I don't have any Wonder Woman stories in here. I have Amethyst stories in here. So I have the first 3 issues of this, and I each have at least 2 cover options as well. So those are $2.50. So the regular comics are all $2.50. These special ones, which is Dark Knight 3, and these 2 issues of store incentive books for Justice League are $5, and then the sludge foil cover is $5. All the rest are $2.50. And the trade paperbacks are 60% off. So if you wanted a trade paperback, contact me via email, which is right up there on the screen scrolling right now. Or you can message me through Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and say, hey, I want this trade, and I tell you how much they are. But they're 60% off, so it's going to be a really good price. Let's take a quick relook. Is that a word? I don't think it is. Of the prints available. These are $15 a piece, no shipping. So it's a Captain America print with a rogues gallery of MODOK, Baron Zemo, Batroc the Leaper, the Yellow Claw, Madam Hydra, Deadly Nightshade, and of course the Red Skull. That's a brand new print, limited to 100, signed and numbered. Little Mermaid as the Big Mermaid. Limited edition, 150, signed and numbered. Little Leaguers. It's like the superheroes as little kids with big heads. Biggest failure ever for my prints that I've made, but the cutest one ever. And you can have one for 15 bucks. They're limited to 100, which I'll never sell. And this is a good one. If you want an alternate Jaws movie poster, pretty good likenesses on my part, if I do say so myself. You got a design. There's a shark up there. You can see his eye. Spooky. Rosie the Riveteer. We can do it. We certainly can. I don't know what we're doing, but I think we can do it. That's limited to 150. I'm about halfway through those. But anyway, those are available for 15. Girl Power. Sold out of this limited edition one, so I made an open edition version. That's available for 15. And it's different than the original limited one. I made the border different in a few things so that, it's its own print, right? And then, of course, we have the Warrior in Repose, because I always have to come up with a clever name for my prints. That's clearly Wonder Woman. That's limited to 150. Warrior Nouveau, always popular. My Nouveau take on Wonder Woman. And this one sold out. The limited edition one sold out, but I've done an open edition and changed the border color to yellow. The other one was black. So that's available for 15. Wet Grass, a classic if you're into kind of Rights and Swamp Thing monsters and a maiden about to be in distress. That's your ticket right there. Kit Carter versus the Astro Zombies, a classic. The Kit Carter prototype print, Space Hunt. Kit Carter versus the Molten Menace. I mean, come on. The Kit Carter story print, episode 1. This is actual. Look, it has dialogue balloons and everything, so you can actually. It's a print. It's signed and numbered, limited to 250, but it actually has a story you can read. So that's available. And by buying this print, you get access to the first, the next 5 episodes of Kit Carter on a protected website in full color, mind you. Star Wars Princesses. This is one of my faves. Doesn't sell that well, though, for some strange reason. I mean, it sells okay, but not as well as you might think it would. But anyway, this is on a textured watercolor paper. Makes it seem more expensive. Lana Turner as Supergirl from San Diego, 1946. And then, of course, finally, Amazing. And that would be Spider-Man. Inked by John Livesey, penciled and colored by me. So there you are, folks. That's what I've got this weekend. All this stuff is available with free shipping. Remember, on the comics and trade paperbacks, $10 minimum order. Probably email me or message me about the comics before you order to make sure I haven't run out of, especially some of those trades. If you just want to print or some prints, you can just PayPal me directly at the address that's scrolling right there. The amount of money, which would be $15 a piece. You don't have to worry about shipping. Make sure I have your address on there and your what you're sending me money for, so I know. Don't just send me money and go, I want some prints. You know, obviously, if you want the cap print or whatever, specify that and then make sure I have your correct mailing address. Same thing with these sketchbooks up here. We sketched in one earlier. This is my 64-page full color hardcover. I'm not doing any more sketchbooks for the rest of my life. Okay, I may do more art books, but no more sketchbooks. This is it. Let's take a quick. Now these are $25 a piece, just for the sketchbook, and they come signed and numbered. But if you want to sketch on the inside like we did earlier of a headshot, I'm just doing headshots in here. It's an additional $20, so it's $45. This weekend only, free shipping. So you can just PayPal me. Say you want a sketchbook. If you want a sketch in it, let me know what the character you want in there and make sure I have your correct mailing address. I can't emphasize that enough. There's a lot of John Carter stuff, a lot of fantasy stuff, you know, some, come on, who doesn't like a cave girl with a bear? So anyway, that's $25 or $45, depending on which version you want. And then I got a couple of these trade paperbacks, Fantastical Creatures Field Guide, a bunch of watercolor illustrations of weird creatures with humorous write-ups to go along with them, along with pencil sketches and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. Anyway, now let's look at all that junk in my studio. It's actually sort of semi-clean. So I'm going to do this so you can see me again. That's it. I'm going to put this up really quick because, just so we remember what we're watching. We're watching, and when I mean you and me. We're watching Aaron Con 3 and day 2. And this would be the end of it. The end of Aaron Con 3. This has been fantastic. Thank you guys so much for dropping by. I know some people came for both days, which is probably really fatiguing. There's some people out there that I don't know if they tuned in or not. They're still waiting for their commissions. Obviously, I can't do every commission live on camera or we'd be here all night and my back would give out and then that would be it. So, but I will get those done. Everything's going to be shipping out on Tuesday, if not before. I may do a live feed tomorrow. It's going to be very random. So if you're on social media, whatever, just check to see if something pops up, because I'm going to try and do some more commissions tonight. If I don't get them all done tonight, which I'm sure I won't, I'll probably do parts of some of those live tomorrow as I'm working on them. So yeah, I still have like a Deja Thoris to do and some other stuff, which escapes me right now. Oh, a Huntress, and there was one other one. But anyway, so we'll get them all done. You saw the Gladiator Hulk, you saw Black Widow, you saw Forbish Man. All this stuff will get posted on Facebook and Twitter once I get them completed, and on Instagram, so you can see what the finished pieces actually look like. But anyway, if you want anything you've seen here, you want to order something, you can order directly through PayPal, or you can contact me via email or message me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and we'll go from there. So let me take a quick look at the messages before I completely sign off. Ashley says, "Ooh, I have that Jaws." Oh, well, your dad must have got it. Did you buy that from me at show, or did your dad get it from? No, your dad probably got it. Colin stole it though. He stole it from you or stole it from me? When your dad was distracting me, and he came in and stole it. Okay, let's see what else is about to be released. I just told you, Fred. The only stuff I have coming out right now or soon is the Justice League stuff. That's what I've been working on. It should have been out by now, but because of the COVID stuff, everything got backed up. So I know issue 50 comes out in August. I don't know if it's monthly now or still bi-weekly, because it was bi-weekly when I started doing it. So check your local listings for a time and whatever. But it's 48, 49, and 50 of Justice League. Roscoe, best Comic-Con of 2020. It's the only, well, actually Chicago Con. That was pretty good. Am I doing more digital? So are you doing more digital? No, I don't do any art digitally. That's the devil. I color the stuff digitally, of course, in Photoshop, but everything I draw. If you meant, am I doing more of these live feeds, which would be, that probably wouldn't be considered digital. So that's probably not what you're talking about. But no, I don't do digital art. I do it the old-fashioned way. I earn it. That's an old investing joke from a TV commercial in the 70s. Anyway, Randy Funk is telling you that the sketchbook or the head sketch is a real steal. And you're practically stealing from me, but you don't have to feel guilty about it. So anyway, that's all I got. Thank you again for joining me. Keep your eyes open on social media, because I could be popping up with a live feed at any time. But again, thanks for joining me. Had a great time. Even though it seems like a one-sided conversation, I do sort of feel like we are interacting, which is kind of fun. Not as good as if we were actually at a show, but I probably wouldn't get as much work done if I was at a show. So we kind of like weigh the benefits against the negatives. So anyway, again, thanks for joining me. This has been great. I will be doing a ErinCon 4 around San Diego Comic-Con International, so that'll be like mid-July, and I'm in negotiations with the great Terry Dodson about joining me, and we might be doing a Erin and Terry Con or something like that. But I can't guarantee that. I can guarantee you I'll be there if I'm still alive. Terry, I'm working on, so we'll see how that works out. But anyway, I'm always posting on social media, so keep your eyes open for that, whatever happens to come up. And if I got anything interesting or new to tell you about Kit Carter, oh, I will tell you this. This is like the longest goodbye ever. It's like when your relatives come over and everybody gets up and they walk to the door and they talk for another 30 minutes. But I will be posting Kit Carter episode number 8 on my website blog this week. It'll be posted on Facebook and Twitter more than once. Let you guys know when it's up, but it is getting up this week, I promise. And I've got some ideas I'm working on for Garbage Man as well. I'm going to start replacing the pages that that have Batman on them that need to be replaced, and then that is going to go in a collection, either digitally or maybe through Image as a trade paperback, something like that. So I am working on that as well. So a lot of stuff happening this summer. I'll keep you guys posted as much as I can and as quickly as I can and as often as I can. So, all right, seriously, that's it. Thank you. See you guys next time. He pushes the end broadcast button. And then it says, do you still want to end it? I say, yes, I do. Goodbye.